Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jacob here. Today I want to talk about L-Carnitine and a little bit about my arm training currently and just why it's also important to record your sets. I wanted to talk about L-Carnitine because it's something I recently looked into on the premise of, is it effective for fat loss in a fat loss environment and setting? And if, does it have any potential benefits? And before I get started about what is L-Carnitine, how it works, just going to quickly go over the workout today. So I'm currently running an arm day, really trying to progress with my arm growth. We're starting off with a close grip bench, then we get into an easy bar skull crusher, and then into a cable straight bar push down. Then we'll swap over to the biceps, do a straight bar curl into a seated dumbbell curl, and then I've been doing preacher or a cable curl at the moment, sometimes single arm. Just playing around with that last exercise, keeping it relatively consistent though with what I'm doing. And training everything to either 1 RIR, so 1 rep in reserve, or to complete failure. So I enjoy training that way, and I believe I make the most progress training that way. Of course, if I'm fatigued or tired for any reason, I will, regulate that accordingly. But yeah, that's where my arm training's at. Not every exercise is in this video, but you get a gist of what's going on, okay? So what is L-Carnitine? Well, L-Carnitine is a substance commonly found in meats. It can be produced within the body endogenously, and it's synthesized in the liver and the kidneys. I am reading off a bit of a, not a script, but just what my research, a research summary, and it aids. Well, what it does is it transports long-chain fatty acids, so fats, through the mitochondrial membrane into the inner membrane, where it can then be degraded into acetyl-CoA through beta oxidation, and it's then available as energy for the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle. So it can then be used to produce ATP, and then we can move, we can run, we can lift, really. Most importantly, of course, we can lift. And yeah, so it basically just transports fats and helps them get broken down by the mitochondria for energy, okay? A few other things that it can do is it aids in the maintenance or the leveling of the acetyl-CoA to CoA ratio. So what that means is that as exercise intensity increases, there's an imbalance in that ratio, and carnitine comes in and binds with the acetyl, creating acetylcarnitine, and then leaves CoA on the end, which helps reduce or blunt lactic acid buildup. So theoretically, there are some potential benefits for performance. It's a little bit iffy currently, right? If we're looking at whether it actually helps oxidize or use more fats as a fuel source. So where do we go from here? Well, let's have a look at the literature. And before I go any further, I want to state that I have not used L-Carnitine. I haven't had anyone that I coach use L-Carnitine. So I don't have any experience background. So all of this opinion is going to be primarily developed from literature and some governing bodies like the Australian Institute of Sport, okay? So currently, the International Society of Sports Nutrition doesn't have a stance on L-Carnitine, okay? And I can extend that to a nutritional review, which is an open peer review journal that also doesn't have a stance on L-Carnitine, and that's a more generalized nutritional journal. And in general, there's minimal studies or evidence to suggest that L-Carnitine can be effective for fat loss. And if we take a look at of course, what the L-Carnitine supplement is designed to do. It's to increase the muscle concentration levels of carnitine, right? Because if we have more concentration of carnitine, we're going to be able to transport more fat and potentially help with that blunting effect of the lactic acid buildup, okay, when we're exercising intensely. So if we're just to take L-carnitine by itself, currently the research says that it doesn't affect muscle concentration stores, which is kind of interesting, right? But if we consume it simultaneously with carbohydrates, it does increase the muscle concentration levels significantly, sort of more so as you'd expect. But the issue there is that the amount of carbohydrates is quite high. So it's between the 80 to 90 grams of carbohydrates, right, which is quite a lot. And especially when you're in a calorie deficit for most situations, it's going to be predominantly using most of your carbohydrates you have for the day, right? So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you're in a fat loss / calorie deficit stage of your nutrition. So you sort of need to ask yourself, is it worth it? Well, we're going to dig a little bit deeper. Now, we spoke about potential performance benefits, which there is some research there to say that there is potentially some performance increases, but there isn't anything to say that it's significant enough to be on that top 5 list of supplements to use as an athlete or as a gym goer looking to improve their performance. This is primarily based on the Australian Institute of Sports recommendations. They similarly suggest that you consume it with carbohydrates, of course, but it's not something at the top of the list. We're not saying it's ineffective and does nothing, but there isn't anything to suggest that it's highly effective, okay? Now, back to the fat loss. So we've already determined that it's most likely not going to be feasible in the situation of a low calorie diet and minimal carbs already. I did have a look a little bit further into one particular study. It was a double-blind randomized control study. So you had 2 groups, one taking a placebo, one taking carnitine. The dosage was relatively low, it was at the lower end of the spectrum, 1 gram per day, so potential issue there. It was a study done on women with a BMI between 25 to 35. So you got some obese ladies in there, according to the BMI calculation, and they also had osteoarthritis in their knees. Okay, interesting. There was a bit of premise behind that, but that's not what we're here to talk about. They had quite a strange diet given to them by a dietitian. It was 50% carb, 20% protein, 30% fat. Straight away, that's sort of a weird one for me. Of course, the current recommendations for protein intake is much higher than 20% of your total diet. It's more like that 50%. And they weren't allowed to change activity levels, so no one was training. So again, guys, when we're looking at studies, we sort of need to look at ourselves and go, what are we doing and how does it relate to us? So if we're training, we sort of want studies that represent our demographic, our style of exercise. Just quickly, I'm going to pause there. Little physique update. This is from 2-3 weeks ago. 94 kilos, looking pretty juicy, if you don't mind me saying. Of course, there's areas that need to be improved, arms in particular, but we're making progress. I'll digress as the physique update continues. So the diet there, 50% carb, 20% protein, 30% fats, and they weren't allowed to change activity levels. If the adherence, the non-adherence, exceeded 20%, they were eliminated from the test. They ended up losing 6 people. And in the end, they concluded that it could influence BMI levels, okay? Now, I did have a look at the layout that they had of a table with different composition Of course, plus and minus, that was relatively similar each time. So a lot of times there would be an overlap at the average or mean result from both the placebo and the L-Carnitine groups. It isn't anything that you'd be jumping out of your pants for, okay? So it's not like someone lost 5 kilos of fat mass and someone else lost 1 kilo of fat mass on a similar low-calorie diet relative to the individual. So that is all the information that I went across, and my stance would be that it's not really something you should be looking into currently. I don't have any evidence-based practice, as I said before. I think there's a lot better bang for your buck supplements currently out there, things like creatine, caffeine, just to name a few. They should be looked at more first, and I also think looking at health supplements as well could have a better holistic benefit than spending your money on carnitine. Is there some evidence to suggest it can improve performance? Yes. Is the literature minimal? Yes. Are some of the dosages not ideal? Yes. So there is room and potential that this is something that could be beneficial. And there was a phase when people were natties, particularly, were injecting L-Carnitine pre-workout. I'm not aware of the dosages they were using, but that was an interesting sort of trend, so I thought it would be an interesting topic to go over. And yeah, so I hope you found this informative and beneficial. You've potentially saved yourself some time and money if you just watch this maybe 10 to 12 minute video. Let me know if you have any questions, queries, or opinions that don't agree with mine. Maybe I've missed something. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'm hoping to sort of have a bit of information on each video. Maybe we can develop some comments that will result in some questions, but that's probably going to be some time till that occurs.